What do you think about Kevon Looney's unsung work, maybe on the boards and defensively?
That should be Kevon's nickname is unsung. He's always been unsung. At some point, we have to sing for him, I guess. He's been doing this for years. He's unappreciated because he doesn't do anything flashy. He doesn't score a lot, but he's been a mainstay for us defensively and as a screen setter, and just his awareness, his basketball awareness. He's always in the right spot. And this is probably the best stretch of rebounding games he's had in his career. He's really putting up big numbers on that end.
Steve, both Draymond and Kevon are in the top 5 in pick and roll defenders. What are they doing so well, or what is your scheme allowing them to do?
Well, it's definitely not my scheme. It's definitely the individual defenders. We basically defend the way most teams do. There's only about 5 or 6 ways to really guard screen and roll anyway, until someone invents a new one. The key is, do you have guys in that spot who recognize all the different nuances of the coverages and what happens, just before that. I think Looney learned from Draymond. Draymond learned from Andrew Bogut, and you're talking about a pretty good bloodline right there of defensive acumen. So there's a feel for where they need to be and precisely the time they need to be there. And then I think the key to modern day pick and roll defense is you have to be able to switch, because ultimately you're going to face that. And Looney is really long. He's got a great wingspan, but he's also quicker than people think. So what happens every game is he'll switch on to somebody. That person will start to go into his dribble, and our whole bench is going, you're picking on the wrong guy, because they think they can get around him, and then they can't. And they end up settling for a shot, and he extends that long arm and gets a great challenge. So, Loon has been great. Draymond, I think, speaks for himself, just, the defender he's been now for a long time in this league.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Yep. Andy Larson, Salt Lake Tribune.
When we were just talking to Steve Kerr, and he said something interesting that I wanted to ask you about. He said basically, when it came to pick and roll defenders, there was a time at which in certain situations, you just have to switch at some point. And I'm wondering if you agree with that, if there are those cases, or, just kind of Jazz defense is going to be the best for the Jazz kind of no matter what.
Well, Jazz defense involves switching.
Sure. Okay.
Pick and roll, I think you're referring more specifically, Andy, right, to the 5, to Rudy and Fave. And I think it's dictated by situation. Whether sometimes it's the clock, where it makes sense to switch when the team doesn't have as much time on the clock, onto a certain player. Those switches for us usually come late, as opposed to early, where, our big will, switch onto a ball handler to try to make a play. And then, it's up to the guy guarding the ball handler to try to take the roll or get him off the boards. And, it can almost be a triple switch in some cases. But I do think, whether or not it's baked into your game plan or not, there's certain situations that, we call it an emergency situation. So it definitely happens.